In this video, I want to look at another great feature that I love in Tai Chi, and that's the dynamics section. So here it is on Ascend from a lead vocal. Now it's a bit sloppy sounding because it's a long time and tail. Now here I've got the reflection set and the tail, and we use this knob to blend between the two. And for example, here, those are just the reflections. And here's just the tail. And a blend between the two. Now the reason I'm pointing that out is because in the dynamics mode, which we're going to explore in a moment, we have the ability to control or have it affect the reverb wet tail or the wet and the reflections. So let's start by exploring what it does. So it's basically dynamic. So we set a threshold for when it's going to kick in, a ratio for how much it's going to compress or duck the wet signal, and then the knee controls how quickly the onset begins once it starts compressing, and attack and release for how quick and it grabs the signal and how quick it lets go, and then we have kind of makeup gain. So that's the big broad picture. So the idea is when you have a relatively busy vocal like this with a long reverb, you want to duck the reverb underneath the vocal or a synth line or whatever so that it's a little bit more intelligible and not quite as messy and sloppy. And then you want to have the reverb bloom between the phrases.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure.
Now, in this reverb mode, we're not affecting the reflections. We're affecting only the reverb tail. So we're really hearing that distinctive reflection unprocessed.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure.
So you hear how it ducks the reverb while she's singing and then it blooms in between. Now in wet mode, it's going to grab both the reflections and the tail.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure. You got me feeling
this is a dramatic example.
I can't escape now, and I can't escape now.
I can have it compressed less. So we're letting some of it through.
Maybe you know you're still my breath. And when I spend with you a moment and I see you moving, baby,
some of it.
you're still my breath. Baby, you make me.
So you hear it blooming up. Now this will control how quickly it blooms up.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure.
Versus this.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure.
So here it's a softer knee, meaning it blends up more gradually, where here it's more of an on-off thing based on the attack and release time.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure. You got me feeling something.
A bit of a slower attack.
I can't escape now, and I can't escape now.
So that's a nice effect. We can make out the lyric nicely when we get that bloom. I'll exaggerate it. The higher the ratio, the more it'll duck behind the vocal. Now that's a little dramatic. Have a slower attack. Quicker attack works better. Try a slower release. So here it's much more gradual because it's clamping down longer. So if it's too quick, it's going to bloom up too quickly. And if it's too long a release like this, it's not going to ramp up enough, depending on the speed of your song and the amount of time between the phrases.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure. You got me feeling something.
So it depends the effect you're looking for. So this affects the tail only. This is the tail and the reflections. Now duck means it responds to the input signal, versus compress, which means it's going to be triggered by the envelope of the processed signal. So let me just solo the return here and we'll really explore the differences. And in this mode, let me exaggerate the ratio so we can really hear it more clearly. Okay, and in this mode. So here it's not quite as aggressive.
I'll never stop to look at you, you like a treasure, you like a treasure.
Versus this,
You got me feeling something real,
where it's ducking more aggressively.
now, and I can't escape now.
So this is more of a ducking, more of compressing. So let's set this for this mix.
Still my breath, and when I spend with you a moment, and I see you moving, baby, you know you're still my breath. Baby.
Now in this case, I'm just going to put it off for a moment.
I'll never stop to look at
I want to
you,
just set the reflections a bit differently.
You like a treasure. You got me feeling something real, and I can't escape now.
So there, I'm getting a nice small vocal chamber effect. So I want to leave that. I'm going to use the reverb tail only. So we're getting that small space, and it's not ducked. So something like this works for me. So just to recap, we have it off. We can have it affect the tail. We can have it affect the tail and the reflection. And when it's affecting the tail only, it's a good opportunity to set your reflection for a small space that you want preserved and not ducked. And then we set the degree of the ducking or compression with the ratio and how quickly it'll ramp up once it crosses the threshold, and a basic attack and release time and a makeup gain. We'll continue with more in the next video.